Okay, good morning. My name is Jason. I am here with Randir, who is our VP of Product and Engineering. Thank you for all of you who joined today. I'm sure we're going to have a few more stragglers coming in here as we get going, but we appreciate your taking the time to show up today and to learn more about what we're up to. Also, as I'm sure most of you have seen, we had a pretty significant release that went live yesterday afternoon. We're excited about that and to share that with you. The plan for today is we will go through and show a lot of what has changed. I know a lot of the people that are on the webinar today are existing customers. There are definitely some people that have checked out Mindflash previously or may be buying in the future, so we'll address all of the things that are going on, but by and large this will be a demonstration of kind of what's changed and the new features that are in there. For this particular release, we moved a few things around. We're making an attempt to further streamline the application. This release only impacted the admins, trainers, reporters, and team leads. It did not have any impact on trainees. So important to note there, that's always a question that comes up is what do I need to tell my trainees? In this case, the answer is nothing. They were not impacted. A couple of notes just on the webinar. We will address questions at the end. So on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar panel, there's a section for questions. If you want to enter your questions there, we will address as many of those as we can before we take off today. There is potential for quite a few questions, but we will address those before we leave. So feel free to ask anything about Mindflash and we can address that for you. The other thing I wanted to direct you toward or to point out is that we have a pretty extensive help site that received a complete refresh yesterday. In terms of content, it's help.mindflash.com. One of the highlighted articles there is a run-through of basically what I'm going to go through today, which is all the things that changed yesterday at sort of a high level. But then in addition to that, there's a whole list of how do I do this, or what does this feature do? All of those help articles are in there as well. So that's a great resource to just go and, especially if you're looking for a certain button or something that you maybe can't find, or a feature that was one of your favorites that for some reason you can't seem to find. If that is the case, I would definitely search there. There are a lot of articles detailing where things are and how you do stuff, so that's a great resource. For this webinar, what we're going to go through today are some of the interface changes for the existing features that we had previously. I'm going to go through some of the enhancements that have been added along with this release. I'm going to touch on the draft course retirement. So we have eliminated draft courses with this release, and I'll talk through what that means and what you should do if you previously had draft courses. And then at the end, like I said, we'll address any questions that come up during the course of the webinar. So some of the high-level improvements that have gone into this last release, there's left-hand navigation that's been added. We'll see the advanced filtering and bulk actions. Those two functions work together quite a bit and are really one of the more powerful things that have been added to this release, so we'll spend some time on that. We've added real-time reports for a series. What were previously only available in our advanced reports, you can now access directly on a tab within the series, so that's exciting. We have customizable views, so all of the grids that you see in there with your trainees, your courses are customizable. Related to that, all of those grids and your views are sticky, which is a term that we use internally, but basically what that means is when you set them up, they will remain that way when you come back on subsequent visits, so we'll talk a little bit about that. This is also a big step for us in the direction of becoming completely mobile friendly, meaning you can access any of our screens on a mobile device. We are not 100% mobile friendly at this point. We're moving away from Flash. As most of you know, this has been a long process for us, and we're well past the halfway mark, I think, at this point. But we have a lot more that's available on mobile now, so we'll talk a bit about that. And then just the last point here, we have a much more efficient workflow that's been tested pretty extensively. We did this as an early release about 3 months ago, and I've been working with early testers and the previewers to get a sense of whether or not it hit the mark. Obviously, there was a lot of research that went into it initially, but one thing that you'll know or at least our longer term customers, people who have been with us for upwards of 5 and 6 years would know, is we continually work on the product. We're always working on enhancing our workflows, streamlining how people use the product. As our customer base has grown in terms of number and size, we've also tried to become more and more efficient. We identified problems as our customers got bigger, that some of the bigger programs were having trouble doing a bunch of things that they do on a daily basis, and this goes a long ways to address that sort of stuff. So we'll talk about like what that looks like and how some of the efficiencies have been added. In terms of this release, we definitely have moved a few things around, and we'll cover where those went. We recognize that change is always a little bit difficult, and we certainly appreciate everyone putting in a little bit of extra time today to go find the features that they're looking for. I should just note that we don't take that change lightly. Everything is going into a place for specific reasons, particularly to improve our workflow. But we're not in a practice of just moving things around how we feel like doing. We test them extensively, and we know that every time we do change things, it's a big impact on people. So you don't see a ton of that moving of small features on a regular basis from us, but in this instance there was some of that. So again, thanks for bearing with us on that, and if any of our longtime customers can attest, I think that you will see over time that those are really positive changes because we're able to add new enhancements to the product and really make your workflow a lot better than it was previously. So good things are ahead. So let's go and see how all of this works. So what I'm going to do is just jump into a demo of how all of this works and talk through some of the changes. So first off, I just want to highlight, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on courses. That's the view that you pretty much came in on the older version of the product. So I'll start there and kind of move out and show you, first of all, what was previously there, and second of all, what's new. First off, you'll see that there's left-hand navigation now, so it's easy to jump to any of these objects within Mindflash. So right now we're on courses, but I could easily just go straight to users or to series or whatever. So that's relatively easy to do. On the courses tab itself, which is where we are, you'll see we've got a listing of all of our courses. Some of the basic things, we can search for a specific course or courses that have something in the title like sale, like if I search for sales, you can see all of the courses that have sales in the title come back. Or I could search for a particular trainer. You can see this is the course that Amy is the instructor on. So sort of your basic search there. To the right of it, you'll see filters. These are something that you'll see throughout the product now, and this is one of the enhancements that we brought in. We introduced the concept of advanced filters on managed users a while back, but now you will see that this is going to appear throughout the product. These are context sensitive, so when you're on courses, they will obviously be filters that are pertinent to courses, and when you're filtering on trainees, they'll be pertinent to trainees or trainees within a course or whatever the case may be. But look for these throughout the product. Great way to say that I want courses created between certain dates, or courses that are in a series, so that sort of thing. That would filter your view. As I mentioned before, all of these filters and views and things are sticky and persistent. So if you only want to see courses that are under your name as the trainer, you could come in here and search for courses that are, administered, or the trainer is Amy, and search for that, and you'd see that only this one course. And if I'm Amy and that's the only course that I have to concern myself with, every time I come back to this screen, until I clear this filter, I see this one course. So that's a great way to kind of whittle down what you're seeing and only see the stuff that is important to you. So what I'm going to start with here is I will jump into creating a course. You'll notice when I hit the Create Course button, this panel on the right-hand side pops out. All of the course editing and management and follow-up and all that sort of stuff will take place in this right-hand panel. You'll notice that we dropped here on the Manage tab. This is where you'll go in and do things like editing your content, setting up sort of the basic information around your course that you're all familiar with. I wanted to call your attention to a new feature just while I'm on this page. If you click the upload for the trainer photo here, you'll notice there's a new interface for uploading, in this case, your image, your trainer image. You can drag things in here. You can browse like you normally would. You'll also notice on the on the left-hand side here, there is the button for taking a picture. This will actually use the camera on your computer, and you can take a picture that way if you'd like to. So I am going to jump out of that, but that's a new feature. You'll also notice in the handouts we use the same upload utility there. So good things on the way there. For adding content, this is sort of one of the big changes that we've made in terms of where you do that. We have put it right here in the Add and Arrange, which if you click on will open the Arranger, which you're familiar with. The Arranger is the same as it was previously, but this is where you would go to add all of your content, whereas previously you could add it on the summary page or the home screen for your course. This is where you would do it at all times now. You'll see the Insert button in between slides. You can come in here and choose what to add, so whether it be a quiz or content or a SCORM file or video or whatever the case may be, you just click on that Insert button, and you do it between whatever slides you want to put it in. Anytime you need to edit content, which I'll show you in a minute on a live course, you would come back into the Arranger and do it here. So that's sort of one of the functions that's moved around a little bit, so just want to make sure everyone is well aware of that. The other thing I wanted to bring your attention to is the survey button. Surveys will also be added on the Arranger, just like any content. And the one thing with surveys is they can only be added to the last, or at the very end of a course as the last piece of content within a course. So if you're in a course that has content and you don't see the survey button underneath the insert, make sure you're all the way to the end of the course. That button, the survey button, only appears where you can insert it. So just scroll all the way to the right-hand side of the course, and then you can insert your survey there. At the top of the right-hand panel, you see this Course Actions button. If you click on that, you'll see a lot of the functions that you're familiar with for previewing, copying, and archiving. This is where you would go to do any of those sorts of items. Again, move slightly, but same function as previously. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump into an existing course that is active and has trainees taking it. This will bring us to some of the new functionality that we have, so I'll be blending a bit of the two as we move along here through the tabs. At the top, well, first of all, we've got the Overview tab. This will show us sort of on a high level what's going on in the course, show some of your basic settings. This is not actually editable on this page. This is more of just a view into what's going on. One thing that I wanted to call your attention to is this section down here at the bottom that's associations. You can see this course is in a lot of stuff. It's in a lot of catalogs and it's in a lot of series. But this is a great way to find out where is this course being offered to people and get a quick link to those sections. So if I just click on this link, it would take me straight to the catalog that this course is a part of, or that particular catalog that they're in. So good piece of information there. On the Manage screen, we talked about the Add and Arrange previously. This is where you would go and edit any of the settings, such as course name. You just click the Edit button. You can change it to whatever you want the name of the course to be. You'll notice there's a Save button appears. Very easy to do. Just come in here and click the Edit button, and then when you're done, hit Save. For editing content or adding content, I click the Add and Arrange button on the right-hand side, and again, it will open the Arranger. As we saw previously, you'll see that this one has content in it because this course is already running and there are people taking it. I alluded to the survey, and well, let's first talk about where you would add content. If I wanted to add a slide or a video, for example, between these two slides, I just click the Insert button and then choose what I want to add, and it would add it between those specific slides. So that's how you would go on about adding content to a course in the future. I talked a little bit about, this is all drag and drop by the way at the bottom. Just drag that and I'm moving it. I talked about adding a survey that you see here as the last piece. There is no button to insert a survey because there already is a survey, but if I didn't have one, the button would appear right underneath the insert for this last slide. So again, always go to the end of the course and look for the survey button there. The last thing I want to draw your attention to on this is the download content button here. So if you're interested in downloading your PowerPoint to make an edit, or you've lost the video file or whatever the case may be, you can download the content by using this little button right here, and that would just download all the files that you've added to the course. Excuse me. The settings tab, there's a couple more things on this tab. We've consolidated a couple of the tabs. But effectively, this is similar to what you were accustomed to before on the Settings tab. Again, everything available here to edit any of these things. Click the Edit button in the top right-hand corner, and you will be able to edit anything that's there. Trainees tab. So this brings us to one of the major changes that we made, and this will look significantly different. Previously, we had a tab that was dedicated to reporting. What we've done is we've combined the Trainees tab with the reporting tab, and we ended up with a much more powerful page. So I'll talk through how all of this works. So the first thing that you'll see is there's filters across the top of this. This is where you can use these advanced filters. Obviously these, you can do very basic things, like if I wanted to just see people with a specific name, you can search very quickly in this filter box, but we also have the advanced filters here. I would definitely recommend that you take some time to jump into these. Really quick filters here for very common things that people filter for. So, for example, if I just want active trainees, I can just do that right there, and I will see just a list of active trainees. I can turn it off easily, or I can go into advanced filters and I can look for more granular information. So if I wanted to know people that are in a specific group, or that have a value within a specific custom field, or that were invited between specific dates. All that's available in the advanced filters and will help you sort of narrow down your list of people that you see in the list here. So let me show just active people in this course. So we got some good people to deal with here. You'll see in the fields that appear across the top here, there's this little icon that looks like a badge. That is the link to download their certificate. So for people that have passed, that have earned a certificate, if I click on that button right there, or that icon, it will download the certificate for them. So one of the features that people will certainly look for and are interested in. So take a look at that. The other thing I want to point out are these buttons across the top and how these work. You'll notice that there's an export data button. This allows you to export what you see on the screen using the filtered trainees button, or you can download everyone that's in the course using the all trainees, and that would just download the first version of this page that we saw that had all the archived people as well. But now I've got the filter on to just show me the active people. If I hit the filtered trainees, it would just download the active people. Downloads to Excel, just like previous reports do, all real time, pretty easy to do there. The cool part about this panel and what's available now is you can actually edit what you see in the columns here, and you can add columns. So for example, I could turn things on or off. If I didn't think duration was important, I could just turn that column off. You'll notice that the column disappears. I can turn on things like quiz scores, and now the quiz score appears on the right-hand side here. You'll see that the quiz score is a link. For those of you who like to go and review what people answered to specific questions within a quiz, you can click on that link and it will show you that quiz that the person took. So you'll see that this is the question they got right. It's highlighted in green. That's exactly what the customer or what the trainee submitted, and you can go to the next question if you want to. In this case, there's only one question in this quiz, but you can navigate between the questions by clicking on that. So that's a feature that some people use very heavily, and for those that do, you can just easily add the quiz scores column and put that on your grid that you see. Now, when I go to export the data, it will export what you see. So if I wanted to add the quiz scores and have that, or like a course score, overall course score, export that on my in my Excel file, I can do that as well. The reporting drop down here, you have two options. The first one is the advanced report. That will take you to a filtered version of, or a specific course within our advanced reports. So it would take us to this course and the advanced reports for them. So everyone's familiar with that. The good thing about the advanced reports now is they actually appear within Mindflash. They're not opening a new tab and taking you out of Mindflash into a different browser tab. It'll be right within the product. So that's kind of another enhancement that's come along with this. And then you'll see lastly here, the survey report is available. If you're downloading your surveys to see the commentary or the feedback that people are giving you, you would go here to do it. One thing to note on the survey button, if you don't have a survey in the course, it will not offer you the button to download the survey. So if you go into your reports or into the reports tab or button here and you don't see the survey button, it's probably because you don't have a survey in your course. So we try to be smart about what we present in these interfaces, and that's one of the things that can kind of catch you off guard if you assume that you have a survey and you don't. And then lastly, I want to show you one of our more powerful things that we've added, which is this trainee actions button. You'll see here in the trainee actions, it's grayed out right now because I haven't selected anyone, but we've got the ability to set the deadline, remind people, reset people, and drop people. All these check boxes appear to the left side of names. So if I wanted to say, for these two people that missed the deadline, I want to go and reset them so that they can take the course, I can come in here and click these two boxes. They're both selected. Go to trainee actions, and you'll see that I can now take action on those people that I have selected. So in this case, I could change their deadline so that they have more time to take the course. I could reset them entirely. I could drop them from the course. If they were in progress, I could remind them that they need to take it. So this is a really easy way to go in and do things very quickly. So if, for example, I went into my filters and I said that I wanted people that were in an active status that were missed deadline, and I filter, it gives me those two people that I had. You can imagine if I had thousands of people in my course, this would be not easy to go in one at a time and pick them. I can click the top box here, which will select the entire group of people that are showing, and then I can go over to trainee actions and just hit set deadline and change their deadline. So something that may have taken a while to sort through and select all the people, now I can do in about 10 seconds. This concept of doing bulk actions, like filtering a list of trainees and doing bulk actions, is particularly powerful on the Manage Users screen, which I'll show you here in just a second. So that's the bulk of the changes. Obviously, there's some design changes and things like that that I kind of brushed over, but that's the bulk of the functionality changes and where things have moved to on the courses. What I will do now is jump over to Manage Users, or the Users page, and show you the changes that are in there. Okay, so in particular, I want to highlight the advanced filters and how that works in conjunction with this concept of bulk actions or doing things frequently. So let me give you a scenario that we can kind of walk through. Some of our customers have a lot of courses and they have a lot of trainees, and on a weekly basis they go in and they reset all the people that failed a course. So that's not the scenario for everyone, but we do have a good number of people that do that on a regular basis. So previously they would go into each course, they would find all the people that failed, they would hit the reset button for all those people that failed, and they would do that for each course. For some people that takes an hour a week or a couple hours a week. So let me show you how you can do that using the Manage Users, and that'll demonstrate kind of the power of what we've got going on here. So first of all, in the advanced filters on the Manage Users, you'll notice that we've got all of these various options. One sort of interesting one that I think is particularly interesting is the course statuses down below. So if I wanted to say, show me all the people that failed, I can search for that, and it shows me every single person that's failed a course. Now, I also have a bunch of archive users in here. You'll see those are the people that are sort of in the italicized print. If I want to edit and show that the state is active, search for that. Now I've got all the active people who have failed a course. On the left-hand side here, that's filtered down to 25 users. On the left-hand side, I can select all those users by clicking that top box. I could do individually if I wanted just a handful of them, but I'm going to select everyone. And you'll notice two buttons appeared here on the top right. There's an invite button and there's a manage button. If I click the invite button, that gives me a list of all the courses that are available to invite people to, or series. I can flip that over to series or live trainings if I wanted to. So I'm going to leave it on courses, but those are all options here. And if I wanted to, I could invite all of those people to call center general training with just that click and hit the invite button, and they'd all be invited. So very easy to do. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to go into the manage button here and show how this works. So this panel opened, and this shows me the progress of all of these people in the various courses that I have within my account. So if following with our scenario, if I just want to reset everyone who's failed a course, and it's, Thursday morning, and Thursday morning is the day that I reset everyone who's failed a course that week, I can come in here and say, take every single course and all the users that are in the background here, and I want to take actions on those people. And I want to find all the courses that they've failed. And the important thing to note is this is across all of the courses they're enrolled in, because I selected all of the courses. So this is every of these 25 users, every single course that those people have failed. I've got those people here. I can check the box for all those people. That's who I'm going to take an action on. And I can hit the reset button. And that'll reset all of those 25 people in every single course that they have failed. So that's a really easy way to do this. What was previously taking hours for people to go in and do this action on a weekly basis, now you can do it in about 3 minutes. So a lot of power there in doing that. The last thing that I want to show on the manage users, well, two last things. First is reports. You can just jump directly to reports up here in the top right. That is consistent with what was there before, but I want to call everyone's attention to that. That takes you to the advanced reports, of course. And then lastly is the setup. This is where you would do your groups and custom fields. So if you want to have a custom field that's for their location or their city or whatever the case may be, you can come in here and just select the setup button and then hit custom fields, and it'll take you into that. Same with groups. That's where you would go and set that up. Okay, live courses. Live courses are something that exist on our Pro tier and existed previously prior to this release, but they've gotten sort of a complete refresh and have been added to the left-hand navigation over here. They're now sort of equal citizens with your courses and your series. They are very similar to how they worked before. Editing works the same as in courses. So if I go into this competencies one here, so go to the Manage tab, this is where I would edit the basics for this course. Settings are similar to what existed previously in live courses. That would happen there. And then lastly, we do have the Trainees tab. Works just the same as the regular courses or online courses does. You got your same filtering and all of that setup that we are accustomed to. In here, if I'm in a live training that has all of your people in it, or you have people that are actually taking the course, the trainee actions on the far right-hand side is where you have the option to mark them as complete. So if you have people that haven't passed the course, you can select those people when they attend your classroom training or do whatever the practical exam is, and then come in here and hit the complete button. So similar functionality to what we had previously, but it's in a slightly different location. So I just wanted to call out that. In terms of series, we'll jump over to that. If I look at the new hire training here, couple of things that have changed in terms of how series works. There's an exciting one here that we'll hit up in a minute or so. But in terms of adding your courses to the series itself, right now we have the Add Content button, so Manage tab and hit Edit. This is where you would add the courses. This is all drag and drop, of course, so if I wanted to change the order of the courses, I could do that. But if I want to actually add a course, I hit the Add Content, come in here and browse my courses. I can choose whatever course I want and add it, and then that would come in here and show on the series itself, and then you hit Save, and everything has changed and been updated. Settings are similar to what they were before on a series, so no major changes there. The big change, and one that we're particularly excited about, is the Trainees tab. Again, this works the same as what we saw in courses, so I'm not going to go through the specific functions of all of this. However, what this does for us is it brings live reporting or real-time reports on series progress into the product, and also is real-time, which we previously didn't have using the advanced reports, so you no longer have to wait for advanced reports to refresh your series data. Same idea as before when we saw courses. You can export using the export button, and it'll just pop out or download an Excel file for you with all of your current series data. So that's particularly exciting and something that our early feedback has been very positive around. Two other things I want to mention here before we move on is the reporting tab over here on the left-hand side. This is where the advanced reports live now. This is within the product now, so it's been embedded. Again, it doesn't pop open a new window. It all just lives right within the product, and you can just easily jump to it if you want to. Same advanced reports as before, so if I want to go to a specific course, I can go to course detail. If I want to see effectively a trainee transcript, I can just go in there and find the trainee and do that. And then you've got your high-level overview here as well. Series reports still exist in advanced reports, but you obviously, as I mentioned, we have the live real-time reports for series now available in the series tab. In terms of the interfaces, I've alluded to the fact that these are sticky and will remain. If we go back to, you notice we've obviously been cruising around within the application. If I go back into the Trainees tab of the course, remember we added the quiz scores column to the course itself. So that's still there, and that will remain there. This is a setting that occurs on a user basis within Mindflash. So if Randir and I are both administrators in the same account, Randir can have a view that he likes that doesn't have quiz scores, and if I like to see quiz scores, I can put quiz scores on mine, and it will remain on mine. So we all have different views and different defaults, but whatever you've set will remain. The same goes for the filters. As I mentioned, if I don't want to see archived people, for example, I can set it so that the filter says, just show me active, and it will always just show me active. The last thing that's kind of cool about how this all works now and sort of its memory is not only will it remember the settings of the columns and the filters, but it'll also remember what tab I was on. So you see as I jump to a different course, I'm clicking on the courses in the background here. It keeps me on the Trainees tab. So that's particularly useful. One use case that we ran across the other day that someone was excited about was they were actually on the Manage tab and they had to change the trainer name on a couple of courses. And so all you have to do is go to the Manage tab, you can edit it, you save that, and then you just jump to the next course, and you're already on the Manage tab. So you can just hit edit and change the trainer name right there. Same for anything else. Like if you wanted to change a particular setting, you default to the Settings tab, or really once your courses are up and running, Trainees is probably where you're going to spend most of your time and kind of live day in and day out as you manage and watch your trainees move through the course. That'll just stay on your Trainees tab, and that's also the case if you log out and come back. So it'll remember what your preferred view is and will remain in place. The other thing I wanted to cover just while we're on this is I touched on it when we first started, but These screens that we're seeing here are all mobile friendly. You can access these on a mobile device. They will allow you to, invite people from the Manage Users screen while you're, on your mobile device. You can obviously come in here and look at the Trainees tab and see the progress on a mobile device. Our overriding plan is to obviously make the entire application mobile friendly. Our trainee side, our trainee experience has been mobile friendly for a couple of years at this point, and that's been a big success for us. But the intention is to make the whole admin interface mobile friendly as well. At this point, really the only things you can't do are build courses using, adding content in the arranger on a mobile device, but preview of what's to come, we're working toward that obviously, and that will be something that comes in the future. So big benefit there of being completely mobile friendly for a lot of the interface right now. So certainly your day-to-day maintenance of a course is all mobile friendly at this point. We've sort of passed the halfway point on moving everything into mobile. Okay, so all that said, let me jump back real quickly here to my PowerPoint. There's one thing I want to cover real quickly. For existing Mindflash users, whether you're a trialist or a customer, you remember that prior to yesterday at 3 p.m. Pacific, we had a concept called draft courses. That was something that we introduced in the early days of building Mindflash in 2010 as a way to set up your course and make sure it got all dialed in before you added trainees or before you pushed it live. In those days, we actually did not allow you to edit your course, whether it be content or quizzes, after the course was activated. So it was very rigid in what occurred after you activated your course. Over the years, based on feedback from customers and sort of some more sophisticated reporting, we have been relaxing those restrictions on active courses and actually making it so you can do more and more on active courses. And we've relaxed those to the point where the draft courses were basically obsolete. They didn't really do much. There wasn't much functionality that they provided in addition to what an active course can do. So part of our process, just to give you some background on this, part of our process is to make sure that we are obsessively focused on usability and ease of use within Mindflash. That's the #1 reason cited why people buy Mindflash, and it's something that we're dedicated to as a company. Always reviewing how we can make things easier to do. When we put in new features, we do a ton of research and studying and make sure that things are as efficient as possible. But part of that is also reviewing past features that are either obsolete or are little used. So draft courses is one of those things. And so we have decided to eliminate the concept of a draft course. Now whenever you create a course, it's just going to be an active status. It doesn't change much for people that are creating new courses. You would still just create your course, get it all set up, you can send previews to people, etc. And then when you're ready, the courses, you've all signed off on it, you just invite your add your trainees and invite them. So no big deal there. But for those of you who had draft courses, when we pushed live yesterday, you probably saw notifications in the application for the last month, and probably many of you received calls from our CSMs that were reaching out to people, telling them of this coming change. But what we did as of yesterday was we archived all of those draft courses, and they're now showing up as archived courses. In order to continue working on one of those courses, which I would assume most of you are planning on doing, but if you want to continue working on one of those courses, at this point, if the course has been archived, you would go in and you would reactivate the course, and I can show you how that works real quickly here. For an archived course, let me find an archived course, here we go. So this course is archived. If you come in here to the course actions at the top right-hand corner, you see reactivate. So if you want to continue working on that course, just hit reactivate, confirm, the course is now active. If I had trainees in this when the course was archived, they would still appear here. Now, important to note that when you reactivate the course, they will not get an email letting them know that they've been invited to the course. So everything's good at this point. They haven't been notified that they are in this course, But what you want to do is you want to go in and drop these users. So if there are users, go in, select them all using the button up here, and then you can drop them. They will not receive an email notifying them that the course was activated. They will not receive an email notifying them that they've been dropped. And once they're out, they're just out. So no big deal. You can continue working on your course, and then when you're ready to invite people again, you can just go in and add them to the course as you normally would. So that is the process for recovering one of those archived courses if you want to keep working on it. All right. So I believe that brings me to the end of my scheduled presentation here. What we'll do now is we will hit up questions, and as I mentioned, we will stick around as long as people have questions, so feel free to sit there and we will hit those up. Okay.
So we have a question, Jason, on where can I go to see what test questions trainees are getting wrong?
Okay.
And I think we'd want to answer that in two ways. One is the particular trainee, and then also at an aggregate level, what questions are people getting right and wrong?
Yeah, so good question. This is definitely one of the things that has moved. So let me make sure I cover that here real quickly. Okay, so if we're dealing with a regular online course, for example, I just click on courses, go to courses. I can select the course that I want to look at that for. I click on it, and you'll go to the trainees tab. If you don't see quiz scores as one of your columns, you want to add that. So again, click on the gear to the right-hand side, add quiz scores, and the column will show up. You'll see the percentage next to the name. So this person, for example, passed. You'll notice there are two quizzes within this course. So if I click on one of those quiz scores, it will show me the quiz and the actual questions that the person was taking, the actual answers the person submitted when they took that course. So that's how you would do it in the new interface, and that's how you would see for an individual. Now, the other thing that I think is important, and this is actually my favorite feature of the advanced reports, it's sort of a hidden gem within the advanced reports. That is, let me just increase my window here. Okay, so you see this section here called Quiz Details. This has a link for each of the quizzes within this course. So there's two quizzes, Knowledge Check 1, Knowledge Check 2. If I click on Knowledge Check 1, it will this window, and this will show us a line. Each of these lines is each question within this quiz. This shows me how many people or what percentage of the people got the question right and what percentage got it wrong. So this is an extreme example, but this is actually pretty common. So in this case, for the first question, no one got it right. That is more common than you would think, and that is typically because when someone set up the quiz question, they actually entered the wrong answer, or they said that the correct answer is the wrong one. So all the trainees then went in and answered the correct answer, but they were marked wrong. This is a great early indication that you have a problem with one of your questions, so I would definitely recommend that you visit this page, certainly in the early days of getting your course going or when you first launch it, just to make sure you don't have a problem. But even ongoing to see. The other reason that we see that people tend to fail questions is maybe the content doesn't back up what the questions are. Or there's not enough content to properly answer the question. So another thing that you may want to look into if you see that you're getting high fail rates on the individual questions. Good question, though.
All right. So we have another question from Chris. Chris, I think I'll just have your CSM follow up with the specific question or the specific issue that you're having on your account. It seems to be an issue with the specific file on your account. So I'll have Kevin, who is your customer success manager, follow up with you after this call. We have your information. All right. And we have the next question from, which is if the pass rate is the same as percentage complete in the series, does this mean that all the people who took the series have got 100% results?
Yeah, so this is particularly around the series, and that's a good question because we just added this tracking or this reporting to series. So let me just distinguish between the two here. Okay, so let me add this. This may illustrate it. Okay, so the percentage in the in progress bar right here is how much of the series they've completed. Not the score that they've gotten thus far, it's the amount of content that they've viewed or quizzes they've taken, whatever, in the course. So if you think in this case, just as a simple scenario, there are 10 slides across the entire series, they've taken two of them. Oh, that's a bad example. But if they'd taken two, they would be at 20%. So that's basically showing you how far along they are in the course. Whereas I added the score column here on the right-hand side, and that is the score for the entire series. So this person passed, and they had a score of 73 when they passed. Therefore, they have the score of 73. Again, all this is exportable if you want it, but that's the distinction between the in-progress percentage versus the score for the actual series itself.
Okay, thank you. There is a question or a comment about the release looks like it's easier on mobile, but is less effective for the meat and potatoes that would normally be done on a laptop. So we'd love, Michael, to hear a little bit more detail, and if you can put that in the questions box, that would be great. Otherwise, we can follow up after the webinar. The feedback we've gotten over the last 3 months from people who have large programs is that even on a laptop, the process has become a lot more efficient. If for things that you're trying to do it hasn't, we'd love to know, because the goal of this redesign was to make it more efficient for, as you call it, the meat and potatoes on laptops. The mobile experience enhancement was a nice enhancement, but the primary goal was to make your day-to-day tasks a lot easier. So question, Jason, on is there a way to totally delete old courses and archived trainees? And we might want to show how to at least hide old courses and archived trainees.
Yeah, so there isn't a way to actually just delete people from the system. There are no plans to add that at the moment, but certainly something that we will review. Any request, whether it's that or any other feature, it's something that we review and are constantly assessing whether or not it should be added. One thing I wanted to note, and this is actually something that's kind of a bonus from all of the sticky filters that we have now, is all you have to do is come in here and just say that I want to see the active people in my account, hit search, and then it'll only show me the active people. Now this will remain for until I clear this filter. So if you just never want to see the archived people anymore, just set up your filter so that it only shows you the active, and every time you come in you only see active people. The archived people are just kind of out of sight, out of mind. Same goes for like when you go to one of your courses and you want to export, or you even on the trainings tab, just in general, you only want to see the active people. I can just hit active, it's applied, I'll only see them, and then when I go into export I just hit filtered trainees and it just pops out the report that only has the active users. So while you can't completely delete people from the system, it does move them out of your view, so you never even have to deal with them. The other thing I'll note, this is not really feature related, but the other thing I'll note is when people are in an archive position, they're not taking up one of your user seats, or they, out of sight, out of mind, but you're not being billed for them. So, it's a great way to kind of clean up the interface as well as, what your usage is so that you don't hit your cap if you're interested in not going over.
And even though they are in archived state, you still have access to all the reports related to those people.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. We can archive courses. Can we also archive series?
It is not possible to archive a series. What you may do if you don't need it anymore is to actually just delete the series or make it go away. That would be one option. That would keep all of their course data even if you deleted the series. So if you just wanted to know whether or not they finished the courses and maybe the actual series itself is obsolete at this point, you could just get rid of the series and then no longer see it. But there isn't an actual archive concept for the series.
Okay, there's a clarifying comment on one of the earlier questions about whether the complete, if it's 100% complete as relates to the pie chart on the home screen. So yes, if you're seeing 100% on both, it means that 100% of the people that you invited completed the course and passed the course. It doesn't mean that they got 100%, it means that all of them passed the course. So if you set your passing rate at, let's say, 60%, it means that 100% of people got more than 60%.
Yeah. So if you look at the live training example that I'm showing here, the 100% of the people completed the live training, so everyone has gone through it, but 3% of them failed. So that's the internal circle that's going on there. So that's how that all works. Okay.
What is the best way to see the feedback per course and across courses?
I'm assuming that this is referring to the survey that you can have at an end of a course. So in order to see the survey for a particular course, you would go to the course, obviously. Whoops, come on, users. Go to the course and reports, survey report. And that will bring up the survey report that all of you are accustomed to or that you were probably using before. This is exportable, and it will export it to an Excel file, so you can, put it into Excel to view it all in one place, or you can just kind of go through one by one if you want to. In terms of seeing it across courses, we don't have the option to export it on a account-wide basis. It is all course-specific at this point. Definitely something that we have heard, and that's on our longer-term roadmap as well, but there isn't a way to do that at this time. How can I print an entire list of all courses? I don't think that there is a way to do that at this time. I'm assuming that would be like printing what this screen looks like, so the courses screen with all of your data on it. Note that you can also customize this view as well. So I definitely see how there's the number of enrolled trainees, for example. You can add that. I can definitely see how there'd be value in that, but at this point there is not a way to export a list of all of the courses and their names. My trainees are grouped by regional trainers. In the old system, when I sorted by group, the numbers showed both archived and active. What does it show today? So today, it would show whatever you've chosen to display. So let me give you an example of how that works. So if I go into the advanced filters and I choose a group, and I want to say the people in the call center, you can see here in the state, I've got any state, which means both active and archived. If I only wanted to see active, I could do that, and it would show me that. But if I want to see everyone, I can just leave it any and hit search, and it shows me the one person that's in that call center group. If I wanted to, let's choose a different group that maybe has more people in it. Let's say I want finance. Hopefully this will have more, and I only want to see the active people. I can do that, and it'll just show me the active people. And again, that'll remain, so you can see what has been applied, but that would remain there for as long as you want it to. So you can really choose. The idea behind all this is that you can really just get down to the list of people that you want to see, and you can choose. It's not us choosing for you whether you see active or archived. You always get the choice of whatever information you want. All right. So I believe that brings us to the end of our questions today. I want to thank everyone for coming to the webinar, sticking with us through the release and everything. It went pretty seamless for us yesterday, but I appreciate everyone hanging in there and getting prepared for this and doing their studying. I will call your attention once again to the Help Center. It's help.mindflash.com. There is a lot of documentation around what's changed and how you do things. So if there's something that you're looking for that you can't find, I would start there. If you want to, if you have questions beyond that, we're also obviously available for live chat. You can send a help ticket to help@mindflash.com, or reach out to your CSM if you haven't assigned CSM, and let us know what you think. I should end by saying that all of this has come about based on feedback from customers and requests that customers have had. People have been very patient the last few months as we've been doing this and have not been releasing a ton of features. We do have a lot of great things planned for the future. If you have been a customer for a while, you know that we release features on a pretty regular basis for the most part. We hope to get back to that sooner rather than later. And thanks for everyone taking the time and sticking with Mindflash, and hopefully this is even better for you than it was before. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.